The melody. That morning, when my eyes were closed and the train roared above me, I heard a sound that felt lost for many years. I stood still with my cane in hand. The ground shook and people rushed by. I heard shoes, voices and train doors, but it all felt far away, like wind in a dream. I used to love sound, but now it was just noise. Long ago I played music, but the music had left me. My days were slow and quiet. I made tea, sat by the window, and listened to the world. Cars passed, people talked, birds sang. But to me, it was all the same. I felt no colour, no joy, no meaning. I did not play the piano any more. The keys were cold and dusty. I had forgotten the songs. I had forgotten the feeling. My life was still and silent. Then I heard it. A voice. A woman was humming. It was soft but strong. It cut through the noise like a light in the dark. The tune was new, but it felt old too. My heart moved for the first time in years. I stood still. I listened. I did not want the sound to end. I needed it. I turned my head, but I could not find her. The station was full of people. The song was short, just a few notes, but those notes stayed with me. They stayed in my ears. They stayed in my chest. I felt something warm. It was small, but real, like the start of a fire. Then the train came, the crowd moved, the voice was gone, but I was not the same. That melody did something. It woke something inside me. It touched a place I thought was gone, and even though the sound had stopped, I knew one thing: I had to find it again. I left the train, but my mind stayed behind. The sound of that song played again and again in my head. I did not know the words, I did not know the name, but I knew the feeling. It was soft and sad. It was warm and deep. I walked slowly down the street. Cars moved, people talked, but I only heard her voice. It was like a dream I did not want to forget. As I walked, I thought of my father. He was the one who gave me music. I was 5 when he put my hands on the piano. He said, "Close your eyes, feel the notes." I smiled and played. I was not blind yet. But even then, I learned to listen more than look. My father taught me to hear colour in sound, blue in soft notes, red in loud ones. Music was my world, my safe place. After I lost my sight, music stayed with me. I played day and night. I learned to live in sound. I listened to everything. Birds, wind, rain. Each noise became a part of a song. The world was full of music, but then one day it all stopped. My father passed away. The house felt empty. My piano went quiet, and with time so did I. I still lived. I still walked, but inside I was gone. Now, years later, that voice brought something back. It was like a light in a dark room. A match in the cold. The feeling was small but strong. It made me want to follow it. I turned at each street corner, hoping to hear it again. I knew it was just a voice, but to me it was more. It was a door to the life I lost. A door I thought was closed forever. I walked all day, ears open like never before. I stopped at parks, near shops, by cafes. I listened to every voice, every sound, but it was never her. The song was gone, but my heart was awake. And even if I never found her, I knew I had already found something else. I had found a piece of myself again. A small note, a quiet light, a reason to keep listening. The next morning I left home early. The city was still quiet. The sun was low and the streets were cool. I walked toward the station again. I did not know her name. I did not know her face, but I knew her voice, and that was enough. I waited near the same place. I stood still and listened. Every sound became sharp and clear. I hoped for that melody. People passed me with coffee cups and busy steps. I heard a child laugh. A man sang to himself, but none of them were her. Still, I stayed. I listened to each second. I followed soft sounds. I turned my head when someone hummed, but no voice was like hers. Her voice had colour. It had soul. It had something I could not name. It was the one I was waiting for. After an hour, I walked into the street. I followed the sounds of a small market. Stalls stood on both sides. Sellers called out their prices. I moved between them, slow and careful. My cane tapped the ground. I listened more than I moved. A radio played near the fruit stall. Someone played guitar by a wall. But no melody was hers. My heart stayed quiet. Then, near the far corner, I heard a violin. The notes were soft, slow, and sweet. I stopped. I turned my ear. The sound pulled me forward like a string. It was not the same song, but it had the same feeling. It was deep and full of light. I walked toward it. Step by step, my hands shook. My breath was short. I knew I was close to something important. I stopped near a wall. The sound came from just a few steps away. I could feel it in the air. The violin cried in a gentle way. It was not loud. It did not ask for attention, but it spoke clearly. I stood still. I listened. My heart beat fast. The world around me faded. Only the music stayed. In that moment, I was not blind. I was not lost. I was home again. I waited, frozen in place. The violin kept singing. Each note was simple but full of feeling. I took one slow step forward, then another. The sound grew warmer. It wrapped around me like a soft coat. I felt safe. I stopped close enough to hear her breath between the notes. I could hear the movement of her hand, the soft touch of string and bow. I did not speak. I only listened. The song ended. The silence after it felt heavy and wide. I opened my mouth to say something, but no words came out. She started to play again. This time the notes were faster. They danced like light rain. My fingers moved. I could almost feel piano keys under them. My foot tapped once, then again. I had not felt this way in years. My body remembered before my mind did. She stopped playing. I heard her move, just a soft shift in her seat. I took one step closer and sat down on the low stone wall near her. We did not speak. She did not ask my name. I did not ask hers. There was no need. The music had already spoken. It said more than words ever could. It said, "I see you. I hear you. You are not alone, and that was enough. I reached into my coat and touched the small piano key I kept. It was from my father's old piano, broken years ago. I carried it for luck, for memory, but now it felt like more. It was a promise to return to music, a promise to play again. My fingers curled around it. I held it tight. My heart was full but light. I was not empty any more. She began to play a third song. This one was slow and deep. I closed my eyes and saw stars. I saw my father's smile. I saw my hands on the keys. I saw a boy who once loved music with all his heart. And I knew I had found my way back, not just to sound, but to myself. One note at a time, one breath at a time. I was alive again. The next day I brought my keyboard. It was old, but worked fine. I cleaned it the night before. I checked each key, one by one. My hands were slow at first, my fingers stiff. But the sounds felt good. The touch felt right. I walked back to the same corner where she played. She was already there. I smiled and sat beside her again. She gave a small nod, nothing more. We started to play. She began with her violin. I followed with soft chords. Our music was quiet at first, like two voices learning each other. Then it grew stronger. It was not perfect. We missed notes. We played off beat. But it was real. It was alive. People began to stop and listen. Some smiled. Some stood still. The street changed. It became a place of sound. Each day after that we played together. Morning to noon. No words, no plans, just music. Sometimes she led and I followed. Sometimes I played first. It did not matter. We shared something deep, something true. People came back to hear us. Some brought food, some dropped coins. But we did not play for that. We played for the joy of sound, for the joy of return. One afternoon it began to rain. Light drops hit the ground. We kept playing. The water made the music shine. Her violin cried softly. My keys answered with low notes. I heard laughter. I heard feet tapping. I felt the city breathing with us. And for the first time in years I laughed too. It came without warning, like a child, pure and bright. She laughed as well. That evening I walked home slowly. My clothes were wet, my hands cold, but I felt warm inside. I had music again. I had memory. I had connection. I thought of my father. I thought of the young boy I once was. And I thought of her, my silent friend. We shared no names, no stories, just notes. But sometimes that is all you need. A song to bring you back. Weeks passed and we still played each day. The city became our stage. People waited for us. Some came with closed eyes just to listen. Children danced, old men clapped. A woman cried softly once, saying, "Thank you. We never asked why. We just played." The music had its own path. It touched hearts in small ways. And that was enough for us. That was everything. I began to dream again, not just in sleep, but in life. I played at home. I wrote new songs. My fingers moved faster. My ears sharper. The silence inside me broke. Light came in, slow and kind. My world had sound again, and that sound had meaning. I was not just a man walking in dark. I was a man with a voice, a man with purpose, a man returned to life. One morning I arrived early. She was already there. She played a song I had never heard, but it felt like a memory. I knew each note before it came. It was for me. I sat beside her and played along. That moment was still. No cars, no voices, just music. The world stopped. It listened. I felt it. She felt it. That day we did not speak, but our hearts did. When the song ended, I turned to her. I whispered, "Thank you." She touched my hand just for a second, then packed her violin and left. I listened to her footsteps fade. I did not follow. I did not ask. I stayed in the silence she left behind, and in that silence I smiled. It was not goodbye. It was a gift, a moment of light, a note that never ends. Melody of that woman not only gave me my lost notes, but opened a new door in my heart. Sometimes one sound is enough to hear the world again.